Welcome back to Furry Trash, the podcast for furries by furries. I'm your host, Get in the Box, and welcome to another episode of the show. Today, I am honoured to have with me Trumpet, who is Mr. Puppy UK, to talk all about the pup community. Hello, Trumpet, and very welcome to the show.
Hi there, how are you today?
I'm not too bad, so tell people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is PupTrumpet. I'm the current European title holder for the pup community. I'm international runner-up for 2019, and I was Mr. Puppy UK in 2019 also. I'm a 7-year-old pup. I've been on the scene probably for the best part of that. I originally started exploring my pup side at home, from that, it's taken me all over Europe, over America, down to Australia, into Japan, and I go around as an ambassador for the pup community.
So my first question I usually ask my guests is how do they get involved in the furry fandom? But obviously you're not a furry. So my question to you is, how did you get involved in the puppy play scene? Is that the correct term? I'll be honest, I don't really know much about it, so I'm really interested to find out and learn.
Yes, it is. It's called the pup scene. So yes, there's many events up and down the country. We have events like Pup Out in London, Scritches Birmingham, Kennel Club Manchester. My own event in the Stoke-on-Trent is called Doghouse. There's events up in Newcastle, like Howell, and then there's also lots of other like Pride events and things where these pup communities all come together and they'll meet at the events and so I mean, you're never at a loss. There's lots of places you can go to go and visit these sort of things and to get into it. So it's quite simple to find us as well. Just quick Google.
Just like the furry fandom, if you're on the internet, you've seen it somewhere. So my first question is, I'm looking at what the media called as a pup hood. Is that the correct term, first of all, of what you're wearing?
That's correct.
So it's a pup hood. Is it similar in the furry fandom where you have a character and you base your suit off your character, or it's a pre-made character? Or is it a case of like, there's only certain people that make custom ones? Or how did you get a puppet, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
So pup hoods, they're very unique to the individual. There are many companies that produce them. You can either have things like neoprene ones. You can have the ones which are quite tight fitting, the S leather ones. There are many custom leather hoods you can get, various companies like Scrapyard Leather. So you can choose your hood, and a lot of these companies will let you choose your design and how you want to embellish them to reflect your own persona. Like, for example, this is my UK hood. So in my UK hood, I had stenciled on one side with a trumpet and then my name on the side of it. So it was easy and it's more personalized to me. But yes, I mean, the neoprene ones are the easiest ones to customize. But you can pretty much get a hood and any sort of thing. And you choose who you want to be in the pup community, and then you just build your gear around it, and you don't even need gear, in all fairness.
So when you say gear, what do you mean by gear?
Okay, so to be a pup, it's not a physical thing, as in you have to have a hood and you have to have harness and you have to have leathers or rubbers. Being a pup is a mental thing, first of all. It's a way of reverting back to a simpler way of thinking, to revert back to a more animalistic and just a more relaxed way of being yourself, finding yourself. So it's not always you have to have the most up-to-date gear or the flashiest set of leathers or a harness that glows in the dark. You just you build your own persona around how you feel and the things that make you comfortable.
So it's similar in the furry fandom where you don't need a fursuit to be a furry. In the pup world, you don't need all the gear to be considered a pup.
Exactly, it's the same way.
So you mentioned there earlier on about conventions and meets. Is there any like pup conventions? Because in the furry world, we've got conventions like Anthrocon and Confuzzled and other conventions around the world. Is there similar in the pup community?
The pup community meets happen pretty much every weekend up around the country. So the events will run once a month. So if you've got about 8 or 9 different events in the UK that are running on a regular basis, you're usually talking about 2 every weekend. So there's always somewhere to go to, and they're cast throughout the entire UK. Then we do have special events, things like the Puppy UK social meets. So there's one in London that happened last month. and you'll also be invited to things like the Pride events, and then they'll do events within those events. So you'll have your main Pride organisation things, then you'll have like an event for the pups to go to. Things like Fetish Week also do things as well for the pup community. So Fetish Week London would have its own little event that runs just for the pups. So there are things like this all up and down the country, and a lot of clubs and things are also doing sort of the special sort of events on a one-off basis. Things like Collared is a pup event that you can go to as well. So there's loads of things that you could never get bored in the pup community of various places to visit.
How did you end up becoming Mr. Puppy Europe?
Okay, so what happens is once a year, all the misters come together, or it's not even misters anymore, it's all the puppy representatives of their communities for their country will come together, and then we choose an elected person from that group to represent the European community. So things like I competed against representatives from Germany, from Italy, from Sweden and Czech Republic when I did my title year. But you'll have representatives from all over the place, like Belgium, Spain, France. I'm off to Spain next week. Well, actually this week on Thursday to judge the Puppy Spain elections. So yeah, all those will come together in a place called Darklands, which happens next year. It's in May. So they'll choose the next Puppy Europe for 2022.
So it's all very interconnected as a community, similar to how the furry fandom is, for example.
Yes, very much so, yes.
So how did you end up getting into, I'd say, the public eye, I guess, with the puppy play? Because from my understanding of it, it's seen as a very private thing. So how does the private world and the personal world combine, I guess?
Puppies are very, very social things. So the pup community, there's a lot of perception that it's just all based around kink and fetish, and then it's all very backroom stuff. That's absolutely not the case. It's very much out there in the community, for example, in the place that the club that we own, myself and my partner Zeus, we regularly have pups out there, come out in their gear on a regular Saturday night, and our regular customers don't mind at all. It's just part of what they expect to see in our venue, and this happens all over the place. It's not just in Stoke-on-Trent. You get this throughout the entire UK. It's a very simple thing to be able to just go out there and as I say, you don't need a lot of gear to be a pup or any gear at all. So when you're out in the community, it's very easy to just know if you want to pack a hood and pop your hood on and go out and pup at the same time. It's such a simple thing to do.
So it's very kind of relaxed, I guess.
Oh, very, very much relaxed, yes.
So what would be some massive terminology that pups would know? Because like in the furry fandom, we've got this terminology called poodling, which is basically where you wear a fursuit head, paws, and either no arms or a short sleeve t-shirt, so that like you have, say, your paws here to make like a poodle paw, and then human skin. So that would be a term called poodling. Is there something similar in the pup world, or what is the equivalent, I guess, in the pup world?
I don't think you actually get that sort of distinction between wearing full suit or wearing just your hood. In the pup community, just referred to as pup, and it's as simple as that. It doesn't matter about your gender, your sexuality, or whether you're in gear or not. So we don't tend to have that sort of division, which is, again, it kind of fits with the whole you choose your persona, you are who you want to be sort of approach.
So I've heard the term pup sauna being thrown around a lot. How do you, I guess, because in the furry fandom, some people would base the persona on themselves. Is your pup sauna based on you, or like an alternative version of yourself, or sort of a character you like to be? How does that kind of come to be, I guess?
All pups choose their own names, unless they are specifically named by an alpha and that they request that, or an owner or a handler. But when you choose your pup name, you choose something that means something to you. For example, I'm Trumpet. The reason I'm Trumpet is because I play in brass bands and orchestras, and guess what I play?
I'm gonna guess the drums.
That's so close, so very close. No, obviously I play the trumpet. So when I chose my name, I wanted something that was going to be unique to myself, and I knew that there wouldn't be another trumpet anywhere. because it's such a unique sort of word to choose. So that's why I can choose my pup side is it's just me. It's it's the me without all the stress and the worries of life. It's the simpler version of me.
That's very, very chill. It's very kind of based off of, I guess, real life experiences would be a fair enough thing to say, I guess.
Very much so, yes.
So you've mentioned the terms owner and handler. What do those mean in the pup community? Because I think they might mean different in the furry fandom.
Okay, so we'll talk about packs first of all. If you're a pup, you have the option of becoming members of packs. So packs will have a hierarchical structure generally, and not always, but generally. So you'll have your alphas, who tend to be the more dominant members of the groups. They tend to act more like guardians, more like people who will lead and offer advice and support. Then you have betas, who are happy to listen to discussions from alphas, but still feel that they have their own sort of individuality, and they don't want to be dominated. And then you'll have the omegas, which are at the very bottom sort of tier, who like being told what to do, how to act. They like to ask permission. It gives them the sense of they like the sense of being controlled, because it gives them somebody to look up to within their pup life, somebody they can then rely on for advice and things. So that's the three core ones. There are lots of different permutations and things, and essentially when you join a pack or create a pack, you choose and define your own rules of how you want that thing to work, but there are kind of a general hard and fast sort of those three. So an owner is a person who will own a pup. An owner then will the pup will then respond to the owner in the way that he will ask permission to do various things, go off to events, to meet certain people, to engage with others, and then the owner will guide them and help them in those sort of things. And a handler is a person who works with pups, who doesn't necessarily own them, but will come in and he'll help them with obedience and teach them things. There's various techniques and things in the kink community, which handlers will be very versed in doing. So that's kind of where the handlers fit in as well. And it all kind of works really, really well. And a handler can have multiple pups, and you can have them for the day, then pass them on, or you can have your own little group of pups that you have with you all your life, really.
I had no idea the term handler meant so many different things in different fandoms, because in the furry fandom, at least from my experience, a handler would be someone, say if you're going to a fur meet, for example, and people are in fursuit, typically a handler would be someone who's either a partner of one of the furries or a friend of the furries, or a furry themselves who doesn't have a suit, which is completely fine, who will look after some of the furries' belongings, for example. Like there was a fur meet I was in back in October in Abbey Leaks, and a fellow furry, an Irish furry called Bailey's, was there, and I was in suit. So I had my Kyra head on, I had my paws on, I had my tail on, and Bailey's was looking after my bag. Like she had my bag with me. Sorry, they had my bag with them, and they looked after my bag while I was kind of running around. So when you said handler, I thought maybe was that the person designated to a pup who would kind of step in, who maybe didn't have a hood on, or I don't know if pups have like paws. Is there a paws in the pup fandom?
You can get paws, yes. I think I have some here actually. If you bear me 2 seconds, I'll show you a set of paws. There should be some here. Lots of boxes. So, puppy paws. I'll just flip over. That's one type of puppy paw. So
Okay.
these are good ones because they let you pick up things, handle things. There are others which are there's stuff over your hands, and they essentially like almost like bondage mittens.
Oh, okay.
They can have like change and response and links on them, so they can cuff together or cuff to your harness or your side, depending on how you want to use them. And you can walk around with the paws quite happily.
I had no idea you can get so many versatile paws, because when I think of versatile paws, like in the fandom, you have like, you've got 4-fingered paws, 5-fingered paws, you've got big plush paws, lots of different variations of how people can wear them, but always incorporating fur. So I would never imagine like a paw to include human fingers, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah, you have
in my,
all like boxing. It's more like sparring mitts. A lot of pups use those. The Everlast type of sparring mitts is a good set. Because if you're walking around on all fours and you're on your hands and your fingers, you want a nice pad around your hand because you're putting weight on it all the time.
And that actually brings me lovely into another segue. So something in the media I've noticed a lot is, according to the media documentaries, and we all know that media doesn't exactly portray things exactly how they are. So I'm being very careful how I word this, and do correct me if this is completely wrong. From the experience in that most pups walk around on their hands and knees all the time, is that the same, or do pups walk around like a human does on their feet, or is there a different way of presenting yourself while you're in puphood?
So pups will walk around just like humans do all the time. The only time they'll kind of be on the hands and knees is when we have mats out and we're playing. So we can either be wrestling or you can be playing with toys. And that's when you kind of need things like padded mitts and your knee pads and things when you're on your hands. But the majority of the time, we're upright and we're happy to socialize and mix with people.
That is actually pretty sweet, actually. Like, just I could just imagine furries and pups in the one area together, like just kind of chilling. I don't know why. To me, that seems very aesthetically pleasing. But bringing it back to Mr. Puppy Europe. So this is going out in January 2020. So you're coming to the end of your reign by the time this comes out. What is involved in becoming, or what's your duties, I guess, as Mr. Puppy Europe? What does that involve?
So being Puppy Europe, it's getting out into the community, offering advice, connecting people is a very big thing, part of it really. So because you do get to go to so many different places and visit so many different countries, you get to represent the pup community and the European pups at those various events and countries. You get to you get to meet so many different people and go to so many different places. So for example, if a pup comes up to me and says, okay, I'm off to the Czech Republic, who do I need to go and see to find an event? And I'll happily point them in the direction of Hack Richie or any of the other puppy Czech Republic. And that's kind of how it works for me. And then people come and ask me questions, and I do things like this podcast, for example. So I can talk about puppy play and explain to people who've not encountered it before what it entails.
What is entailed? Nice one. You got me to the puns. I did say to you beforehand that I have a list of dog puns. So dare I say, when you're Mr. Puppy Europe, you are top dog.
Very much so.
What do you think is the defining feature between puppies and furries?
I think there are a lot of similarities between the pups and the furry community, in the way that we all have our own personas, and we have our own look and style, how we are. You guys, when you go out to events and things, you will also have your own way you'll act and how your character is. Almost like becoming a bit of an actor, really, isn't it? It's you becoming a different person.
Definitely, I would agree on that.
Yeah, that can happen quite a lot, and I think the pups are a little bit more simpler in that aspect, as they don't tend to do that sort of thing. But if they're taking a role of an alpha or a dominant person, they may be a little bit more dominant in their pup gear than they would be in normal life. So that's something to just bear in mind. Or they can be a little bit more subby. You know, it's a very flexible thing. I've not had the opportunity to ever go to a fur meet before. I have met a few furries, and the ones I've met have all been thoroughly charming and great fun when we've been to events and prides and things. I always make a point of shouting out "Furry" whenever I see one, just to embarrass them and let them know I've seen them, because I know they like that. Because pups and furries, we all like to get the limelight, don't we? So that's kind of why we do these things as well. It gives us an opportunity to be a more bold person, or a bold pup, or a bold furry than we would be in our normal lives.
Notice that you're wearing a collar. A lot of furries will wear collars with their fursuits or out of suit, or if they haven't got a suit, some people will wear like a lanyard with their character on it. Is a collar a major part of being a puppy?
Again, no. It's you can choose to wear a collar. A collar will mean different things to different people. For example, a collar with a padlock on could indicate that person is owned. and they'll have the tags on there, and usually on the back of the tag it'll say owned by and the name of the person who does that. I mean, mine just says Trumpet on it, because that's just me. I'm not owned by anybody. I do have a partner who's also a pup, but we don't have an owning relationship. So a collar to some people will signify that they are owned. To others, it can be as simple as wearing a necklace. It can just be an accessory or something that they feel comfortable in, and they like and they can relate to. So it can be very, very personal to the individual.
So I don't know if it's big in the pup world, but in the furry fandom, lots of people get art done of their personas, like I mentioned, on lanyards and badges and things. When people draw your character, if they draw them, do they draw them fully with the design of the hood, or is it like, let's say, your human body plus the hood, or is it just the hood design? How does that kind of work?
So puppy drawings tend to be more of a caricature nature. So there's quite a lot of artists out there. There's a really good one called James Newbold. He does a lot of the Pup Silver, his name is. He does a lot of the caricature art and things. So he's drawn. I sent him a picture, and he drew a caricature version of me, and that's kind of my would be the equivalent of having my little lanyard, I suppose. That would be what I am. It's on my Twitter as well. So yeah, I mean, puppies when they're drawn don't tend to be drawn as people wearing full-size men or women wearing gear, and they just tend to be caricatures. It's more. I would say it's more of about being the person rather the persona rather than being the hard lines of being an actual pup, if that makes sense. So we don't tend to do a huge amount of artwork, though there is some aspects of it. It's more about literally having photographs of yourself out there.
So actually, you mentioned a couple of times there about pride and events and stuff. Has there ever been any major incident of people being hated towards the pup fandom or causing a scene, I guess? I know sometimes furries will get a reaction from the media and a reaction from the public. Do pups get the same reaction?
Yes, I mean, the whole point of Pride is to educate people. And we're a huge supporter of that here at Stoke-on-Trent and with Dark House, which is my group. We make sure we get out there to as many prides as we can, and bring the world of the public play community and kink and fetish to Pride, because it's very important that is represented, because that's where it all came from. All the protests that started off in New York at Stonewall were by the transvestite community, the Leathermen. And the people who wanted to be themselves, and they were the ones who started all the Pride movement by all the rioting, demanding equality and rights, and that needs to be remembered at a lot of these events and things like Pride. So we need to make sure that we don't let it revert to being just a family fun day. It has a meaning, and it's a very important meaning. And yes, we do get instances where we will go to events and people will be rude to the pups, but we're there to educate and help them. So we'll turn the other cheek and correct people and explain what it's about, and that's the best response we can give to anybody who's a hater.
What would be some advice for new pups or going to their first meet, especially if they're coming to your meets? What would be advice you would give them for the first time?
The first thing to do is really just, if you give us a heads up, what we'll do when you come to the dog house, we'll pair you up somebody, and we'll introduce you to lots of different people. It's a very relaxed sort of atmosphere, and we'll have lots of toys and mats out. So we'll put the person at ease very, very quickly, and get them to know and integrate and meet lots and lots of people. So it'll be a great, relaxed, friendly experience. So we find that's the best way of doing that. If they're anxious or have a very nervous disposition, if they let us know that they have problems or that we need to take into account and help them with, we're more than happy to do that. And because we've got a lot of experience with this within the business and also within our pup community and pup groups.
So finally, Trumpet, where can people find you online?
I'm very easily to find online. I have a website, which is PupTrumpet.uk. I'm also on Twitter at PupTrumpet, and my Instagram is also at PupTrumpet as well.
Fantastic, and I'll have all those linked below in the description. Thank you so much, Trumpet, for coming on. Seriously, I was really nervous with having a pup on because, like I've said like 101 times, I genuinely don't know anything about the pup world. So hopefully now I would know a bit more. Thank you for educating me. And if you'd like to follow the show online, our Instagram is furry.trashpod, Twitter is ftrashpod.